Welcome everybody to Pipeline Summit Summer 23. My name is Kraig Swensrud, founder and CEO of Qualified. And today I'm joined by a very special guest, Udi Ledergor, who was marketer number one at Gong, served as CMO as the company went from zero to hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue, and now serves as chief evangelist. Udi, welcome to the Pipeline Summit.
Thanks for having me, Kraig. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, there's probably no one better than you to give us a perspective as we start out. What is going on right now in B2B marketing? From your perspective, what are you seeing out there?
Well, we talk to CMOs every day. I'm on calls every day with CMOs, and I see a few patterns happening right now. Everyone's tight on resources. The best cases are teams that are not growing as fast as they did last year. The worst cases are team being cut down and budgets being cut down. So I think what everyone is being forced to do right now is focus on the essential few things that they have to do to create pipeline to support the sales team and do them better than we did before.
Yeah, focus obviously is really key. You know, I listened to a speaking engagement that you did a while back, and you said, hey, back at that time you were the CMO of Gong. You said, as a CMO, the thing my CEO and my board cares about is number one, am I hitting the pipeline number? Number two, do we have our corporate narrative straight, like our story and what we do and why we're different? And then if you get those two things right, you kind of have leeway to do everything else. Is pipeline, from your perspective, speaking to CMOs out there, is pipeline still the number one priority right now?
It is. Those priorities, I think, are kind of timeless and they always hold true. There's definitely less fun money these days. That's why we're seeing less billboards and television and radio and all those hard to measure brand awareness campaigns that everyone was doing 2 years ago. I think there's also a new focus on keeping our existing customers happy, because many SaaS companies who did not have a churn problem and retention was sky high are seeing problems now, and marketing team is getting involved in keeping those customers happy, keeping them loyal, because we all know it's far more expensive to get a new customer than to keep a customer in place.
100%. I think for the first time, a lot of CMOs out there in their careers maybe are thinking about customer retention and marketing to existing customers.
Absolutely.
For the very first time. A great insight. You know, I was talking to Sarah Franklin, who's the president and CMO of Salesforce, just a couple months back about pipeline challenges. And she said 5X is the new 3X when it comes to pipeline coverage. And she talked a little bit about how she sets those targets and stays aligned with their CRO. What's your advice for marketers out there right now about pipeline coverage and how they should be working with sales?
Well, you always want to focus on both the quantity, like Sarah talked about. 5X is fantastic if you can get it, but also on the quality, because you only need one good lead to close one good deal, but we all know that it's usually going to take more than that. So in good times, it might be 2 or 3 good leads to close one. Now it might be 4 or 5, but there's still a lot that marketing teams can do working with ops and the sales team to increase conversion rates from one point to another. So if you're targeting the right leads, if your website experience is converting the right leads, if you're using the right sales engagement system and the right sales platform to convert those leads and actually book the meetings, get them moving down the opportunity journey, then you don't need a huge amount of pipeline. So quality is probably even more important now than ever before.
It's a really fair point. I mean, you know, usually sales teams always talk about coverage, but
I always want more leads.
What you were saying is that not all stage one pipeline converts at the same rate. And what are you doing throughout the funnel? So, I mean, I think that insight, as far as marketers having deep insight into the conversions down the funnel and not just staying at the top of the funnel, is a really strategic insight. What are the priorities of Gong, if I might ask, in the second half of the year? When you guys look to generate pipeline, you're famous for doing so many amazing things. I mean, obviously, everybody talks about the Super Bowl commercial, but I see you guys all over YouTube. You're launching new products. You have killer content marketing. Kind of, where are you placing your bets in terms of pipe gen as you look to the second half of the year?
So this year, and the second half especially, is the culmination of the last couple of years' efforts, which happen to time perfectly with what's happening in the market right now. And this year's main theme for Gong is going from a point solution for revenue intelligence, or as some people still call it, conversation intelligence, to a complete platform that allows full cycle revenue teams, from SDRs or BDRs through AEs and customer success managers, to manage their entire day. And this aligns perfectly with what's happening right now in the market, as everyone is talking about tech stack consolidation. So going from maybe half a dozen point solutions to far fewer platforms actually hits the mark on 3 different metrics that everyone cares about right now. One of them is lowering the cost of your tech stack, because we're all crunched on budget. Number two is providing a better seller experience, because the number one problem we found 30% of sellers complain about is having to switch between 10 different systems throughout their day. And number three, everyone wants to provide a better buyer experience, which will increase the conversion rate. So we talked about throughout your funnel. And by having everyone on your team aligned on one platform, you can provide a better buyer experience. So lower your tech stack, better seller experience, better buyer experience, that aligns perfectly with what we're doing. And so you're going to see in our marketing efforts, in our product efforts, in our training efforts, we're going from promoting the point solutions that we had until recently to the full platform that we now have, everything from prospecting to deal close to renewals and expansions.
Well, most CMOs I see a lot of CMOs pulling back right now, but you guys just kind of went aggressive with this big product launch of Gong Engage, and now you're a more broad solution. I think vendor consolidation is the name of the game right now. There's no doubt about that. But let's talk a little bit about AI, because AI is, I think when you launch Gong Engage, the slogan was sales engagement reimagined with AI, but that's not a buzzword, for you guys. You guys have been at the forefront of using AI for sales intelligence for some time, whether you call it conversation AI or revenue intelligence was actually the category that you guys coined. What are you seeing out there regarding other groundbreaking technologies other than Gong, of course? How should CMOs and heads of demand gen be thinking about AI for pipeline generation? Is there anything you've seen that you can tell us about?
Yeah, so like you said, Craig, Gong has been in AI for over 7 years now, way before our parents started texting us about this new AI stuff. And it's super cool that everyone's talking about it right now, which is why we're also bringing it to the forefront. I think AI is going to change how marketing and sales and many other professions and teams work moving forward. There are going to be some low-level tasks that can be fully automated right now. We're seeing that with sales teams, like getting a nudge that someone is back from out of office, or sending a templated email that you promised to send. There's no need to hire a very expensive salesperson to do that. Automation can do that with AI right now. But I think for many of these professions, AI is not going to take our jobs away. AI is going to help us be better and go deeper and spend more time doing the things we are uniquely qualified to do as human beings. And so if you embrace AI in that way, you don't shy away from it, say, oh, this is going to take my job away. No, AI is your friend. It's not your enemy. And we're going to see people embracing AI from everything like editing. If you think about marketing teams, right, they're starting to look at AI, and I think the search engines are going to completely change how they treat organic content, because there's no more barriers to creating an infinite amount of content. Just prompt a ChatGPT and you've got content like till the cows come home. But good content is still going to require a human being who has a point of view that might be controversial, which ChatGPT is not, because it kind of averages out everything that it was trained on. So it's never going to have a controversial, polarizing, counterintuitive point of view. That's number one. Two, it's not going to have the unique style or voice that a human marketer can have. So you need to inject those things. Then you can definitely use ChatGPT or other AI products that are helping marketers to fill in the blanks. Once you have a point of view and a tone of voice, ChatGPT can help you do that. So the human writers are actually moving more into an editor position, but we're nowhere near not needing those people. And then if we go to the sales profession, again, writing the same email over and over 5,000 times, ChatGPT can do that for you. Although I will say that this comes with a big warning, and there's a reason why many companies are banning their teams from using these open source generative AI systems. And the reason is that they do not have enterprise-grade security. They were not trained on your product or on your customers. They were trained on everything from Super Bowl commercials to Shakespeare plays, but they don't understand your product. They don't know how to sell it. So what you want to look for your team is a platform that was purpose-built, an AI platform purpose-built for your sales teams that was trained on billions of sales conversations and not TV commercials and scripts. So that's kind of where we see things going.
Well, generative AI is clearly the term du jour. There's no doubt about that. But one of the things that's fascinated me about what you've done since the earliest days of Gong is you've used AI to surface up insights that no human would otherwise find. And then you use that as the basis of your content marketing strategy. So, back in the day, you guys launched Gong Labs, and you were serving up insights that were fascinating to me, where you were telling us all, hey, here's how you win. Do this on calls. Don't do this on calls. Hey, when you say this word or don't say this word. And then you use that as a basis of your content marketing. That was the first time that I was captivated by Gong years ago. What's your perspective today on content marketing. And most people think content marketing and pipe gen, content marketing might be at the top of the funnel. It's not directly related to demand gen, but kind of give me your perspective as a master content marketer. How do you think of content marketing as it pertains to pipe gen?
So content marketing is the base of Gong's demand gen strategy and has been for the last 7 years. And we are bringing it forward to help marketers and salespeople use all the AI tools that they now have at their disposal to do better prospecting, to do better marketing. I'll give you an example from a Gong Labs article, the most recent one we just published, that was about different types of personalization for prospecting and creating pipeline. And we found, as one example of the many insights in that research piece, we found that SDRs and AEs who use personalization, if I were to try to get to you, Kraig, and I say, hey, Kraig, I noticed you were on this podcast. Turns out you don't care about that as much as an entry-level professional. If I were trying to hit someone in ops, that would actually work. But for C-levels, what actually works like 3 times better than touching on something that you personally did is if I talk about something your company is concerned about right now. I just read in your recent earnings call that you had a problem in that region. I think we can help with that. So it turns out C-level execs are far more interested in what their company is up to than what they're personally up to. And those types of personalization work better. And now salespeople have generative AI tools to quickly personalize that. But that insight is not something that ChatGPT could give you. That's something you have to go to Gong Labs, because we analyze over 1 billion sales calls and over 10 billion sales emails. ChatGPT has not. So making the marketing always relevant and allowing sales professionals to use the latest technology with these insights is the winning combination. And I'll say one more thing. You touched on our recent launch of Gong Engage, which looked like we poured millions of dollars into it. I'll let you in on a secret. We did not. We did not. We rely on doing things smarter in organic ways that don't cost a fortune. I'll give you 2 quick examples. One, we have about 1,200 employees at Gong, or Gongsters as we fondly refer to them. We got about 800 of them to share the news in one form or another on the day of the launch. That kind of publicity would cost me millions in purchased media, but I got it free by rallying up the team, getting everyone excited, and getting 800 Gongsters. Even if you assume that every one of them only has like 500 connections, just imagine the reach, do the math. It's incredible. Millions of eyeballs saw the launch, tens of millions actually, and that didn't cost anything. Another example is we created such interesting news about the launch that TechCrunch and VentureBeat and the New York Stock Exchange, everyone wanted to write about it. That doesn't cost anything if you create a newsworthy story. And the final example, I'm running an influencer program. So we got 20 industry influencers, everyone from Lars Nielsen, who's running the fantastic BDR team at Snowflake, to Jocko van der Kooi, who's running Winning by Design, and other influencers, to share the news without spending a dime on it, because we're advancing the state of the art of what salespeople can do, and everyone in the industry is excited about it. So when marketing teams plan and create newsworthy stories, you can get hundreds and thousands of people to share it without spending a dime on media.
Well, I think that's a really good segue to my next question about brand awareness. And obviously, you just tied a killer product launch back to demand gen and content marketing, back to pipeline generation. Let's talk a little bit about brand awareness. In today's world, obviously, everybody is running on a shoestring budget, and we're all wondering how we hit our targets. It used to be that when we had larger budgets, we would maybe allocate a percentage of our budget to brand awareness, and a percentage to demand generation, and percentage to something else. But now that we have a tighter budget, I think a lot of CMOs are out there, stressing about where do I point my dollars? How do I hit my targets? How do I get my brand out there? You obviously just gave a couple great examples, but if you were to allocate, a percentage of your budget to A, B, or C, how would you think about it right now if you're speaking to the world's leading B2B CMOs?
So I've often talked about this in the past. When I ran the marketing budget, I had anything from 10 to 15% of the budget allocated to marketing experiments or brand awareness campaigns that we knew we couldn't get very accurate measurement on. And that budget, a lot of it has gone away now, just like many companies who are trying to save on their marketing budget and be more precise with what they're doing. But that forces us to be a lot more efficient on the remaining 85% of the budget. How do we get more of that? And the time theme behind all the things I just talked about, getting your own employees to advocate and getting influencers interested and getting media interested, there's one common theme tying all those things together. Focus on what your customer would get excited about and what would add value to their day, And then you don't need to spend so much money shoving the news in their face because they will pull it from you. We got over 1,000 demo requests on the day of launch because everyone got so excited. There was very, very little paid advertising involved in that. Very, very little. If I took it away, it wouldn't materially change the results. But we created a story and we focused not on, oh, look at our new version 3.24.5. It's got all these new bells and whistles. It was here's how salespeople can become more productive now and do something that they care about and that their managers care about right now. And when you always start with what does the customer care about? How can we add value to them? In every link in the chain, how can marketing tell them a story that they can't wait to download? Just like the personalization tips that I gave you. There's dozens of those or hundreds on the Gong blog that salespeople download every day. I don't have to pay them to do that. I don't have to pay to get in front of them because I'm adding value to their day. And then our customer success managers are working with those customers every day to show them how they can get more value and get better at their craft, and for the leaders, get better in their business by using the insights that they can gain from Gong. So if you always focus on that, instead of what many companies do who are product focused, oh, everyone needs to know about these new bells and whistles, even if nobody cares about them. No, focus on what your customer cares about. You will always win, even when there's no budget.
It's a timeless message for B2B CMOs. Focus on what your customer cares about. Udi, it's been a pleasure hosting you today at the Pipeline Summit. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Kraig.
Cheers.